In Lecture 4, you saw how to download the TeX files associated with this course. So hopefully you've downloaded lecture5.tex and put it in a Lecture 5 folder. Attached with this tutorial video is an image file, course graphic, that you should also download and put in your Lecture 5 folder to complete this section. Lecture5.tex is your actual LaTeX file, and coursegraphic.pdf is the PDF of the graphic file that is read in by this LaTeX file and displayed in the article. So these both need to live in the same folder. We want to open lecture5.tex. So double-clicking on it should automatically open it with your LaTeX editor. I am using TeXshop on a Mac, and this is what my editor looks like. If you're using Windows, you probably have an editor that looks like this, TeXworks, or if you're using Linux, you might also have TeXworks. There's a Linux version of this as well. Or you're using some other flavor of editor. Either way, you want to find how to typeset your document in LaTeX. So you want to run LaTeX on your document, and you want it to generate a PDF. So if you have a command called LaTeX, that's the one you want to select. If you have a command called PDF LaTeX, that one works too. And then you want to find your typeset button or simply your go, compile, run, whatever your button is that runs the program. And so if you're not using TeXshop, find your equivalent menu option and button to push to start the typesetting. And then when you're ready, click the button to typeset the document. And you'll see a console pop up. And your console might look different than mine, but it should have a lot of the same text in it. Some of it will be different because a lot of this text is talking about which version of TeX this document was created in. So here you see a lot of references to TeX Live, which I have on my system. And most of this stuff you really don't need to read, but you do want to scan through here and look for anything that says LaTeX warning, or certainly anything that says LaTeX error. If you have an error, then your PDF document will not be created. If you have a warning is usually means something that you can ignore. Your PDF document will still be created, but you probably shouldn't ignore it. Now, most warnings come from the fact that sometimes LaTeX needs to be ran twice in order to finish typesetting the document. So it makes two passes through the document. In the first pass, it picks up some types of information that it needs, and then in the second pass, it picks up other types of information that it needs. And so sometimes you have to run it twice. So typically, if you see a lot of warnings in your console, really what you want to do is just run LaTeX again. So we're going to typeset again. And now I see that all of those warnings have gone away. I don't see any LaTeX warnings. I don't see any LaTeX errors. I do see an overfull H box, and we'll talk about that later, but you can ignore it for now. And I see that my PDF was created. So check your PDF file. You can see that everything's in order here. And now I want to point out, and of course you can close the PDF, you can close the console, or you can leave it open. It's up to you. But I want to point out what happened when we ran this. If you go back to your Lecture 5 folder, we still see our TeX file, but now we see a lot of additional files. The only ones you really want to pay attention to here is the lecture output, right? The PDF output. So lecture5.pdf is the output file. This is the PDF file you just created, so you can double click on it and it'll open up in your PDF viewer. So that's the PDF file you just created. So this is the file that you will share when you're ready to share your work. If you aren't able to see the file extensions .tex, .pdf, .log following Lecture 5 in each of these file names, then you want to change whichever Finder or viewer application you're looking to see your file system to show file extensions. This is going to be different depending on your operating system. I'm using the Mac Finder, and so I can go to the Preference menu and find a box to check that says Show All File Extensions. If you're on Windows, then you'll want to change your preferences or your settings of your file system viewer and just find an option to show all file extensions and turn that option on. That way you'll be able to tell the difference between the text file, the PDF file, the log file, etc., and know which files you need to keep, which files you can delete, and which is the PDF file that you want to share. There's also a log file. This log file is just a recording of everything that you saw in the console, so you can go back and look at it. There's some additional information here too that may not appear in the console. So when there's errors or problems, you can go back and look at it. Honestly, I have not really ran into a situation where I've needed to look at the log file. This AUX, this is an auxiliary file that's an intermediate file that's generated by LaTeX that you don't need after the PDF file is created. And this file you may or may not see on your system, but you do not need to do anything with that file as well. So every time you run LaTeX, these files are going to be created. And every time you run it again, so I'm typesetting with LaTeX, so I'm running LaTeX, the files are simply overwritten. If you want, you can go clean up and get rid of these additional files and just save the final PDF. Now you can do that if you want to, and everything will still be fine. You still have the final PDF that you created, and you still have the text file that you used to create that PDF. Of course, we did not want to destroy our graphics. We'll hold on to that. But you can get rid of the other files if you want to, and as a beginning LaTeX user, I found myself doing that a lot just to keep things clean. But then you'll find every time you go back and run it again, all the files are back. And so you just, after a while, I just kind of learned to ignore those extra files that I didn't need. There are sophisticated ways where you can have those files actually stored in a separate folder, but that seems like a lot of extra work, and for me, it was just easier to get used to just ignoring the files and then deleting them if I wanted to. So I'm going to delete them now. And we can quickly confirm that you have the text file still, lecture5.tex, the PDF file, which was the final PDF that was created, and the course graphic. So let's go back then and look at our text file. And again, I'm leaving this PDF and console open. You can close it, leave it open. It doesn't matter. It will get overwritten when you run things again. Let's go back and change the document class. Save your document and typeset it again. Most likely, the editor that you're using will save the document every time you click the Typeset button, so you'll skip a step there. You don't have to save, but confirm that it is saving the document before you hit when you hit the Typeset button. So now I have a one-page article because I changed it back to article. If I go back here, I can see this is the PDF I'm looking at that I created. Notice here the PDF is actually opened in my LaTeX editor. I can still open this PDF in my PDF viewer, which in my case is Preview on a Mac. You might have Adobe Reader. But now I've got the PDF open in my PDF viewer. It's still open over here in my LaTeX editor. I can go back and make more changes. We'll change it back. Typeset that. I see my article came up, but I'm also looking at my console and I see a warning that says labels may have changed, rerun. So that's telling you run LaTeX again, so typeset again. And now I don't see the warning. The warning's gone, and my document has been updated. So keep this in mind. If you decide you want to keep this two-column format of the document, and you want to have a two-column format and a one-column format, every time you run LaTeX on this text file, it's going to create a PDF file of the same name. So if I wanted to save this two-column format, I would come in here and rename it. So I'll call this Lecture 5 2-column. And now if I want to have my 1-column format, I can go back, change my document class back to article, typeset. I see a warning, typeset again. There's my 1-page article. I go back to my file system. And you'll see that it created a Lecture 5 PDF. And this is the 1-page article, or the 1-column article, excuse me. So the 2-column article is still here because I renamed the file and saved it under a different name. And now I have each of these PDFs that I can optionally share. But keep in mind that if you go back then to your tech file and make additional changes to your text, so if I wanted to change research to study, and I typeset the document again, the only document that changed is the lecture5.pdf. So I can open my lecture5.pdf and see that now it says study instead of research. The PDF file that I renamed, lecture5 2-column.pdf, did not get that change. So it still says research. So my recommendation is that until you're completely satisfied that this is the final version of your document, you don't rename your PDF file. But when you're ready to share the PDF file, say you want to share a version of it, then go ahead and rename it, but just keep in mind that subsequent changes to the LaTeX file are not going to change the PDF file that you renamed. They will only change the PDF file that has the same name as the LaTeX document you're working with. So, if that was too much level of detail for you, I apologize, but I know a lot of new users sometimes get confused about the files that come out, and I certainly did when I was a new user. And so just to make sure that everybody understands what these files are, which ones you need to keep, which ones you can lose. And then practice running your document and learning how to tease out whether or not there's a warning or an error amongst all of this other text that's being printed, and just learn to train yourself to watch for that. All right, in the next lecture we will begin with creating your own document. So make sure you're comfortable with running LaTeX and working with the files before you move on to the next lecture.